Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. I am Brandon, back with Nick.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Nick.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic.
No, you're not.
I'm really good.
You lost your voice last night.
A little bit
How'd you lose your voice, Nick?
because I was getting really mad at Madison. I was yelling at them to put in Ty Chandler, but they didn't listen.
We went to the Vikings football game last night, Monday Night Football game, and Nick was very vocal about how he felt about the running back situation.
I usually don't get like that, but they were so frustrating last night. I was just like, come on.
I was
get it
more
together.
entertained watching you yell at the team than I was watching the team.
There was one time though that Travis did notice that one of the cheerleaders looked at me like, "What is wrong with this guy?"
Well, I'm
'Cause they're
pretty sure
standing
everybody
right
looked at you a few times like that.
that's
It was
okay.
great. You know what? You were saying the things people have to say,
And then they scored and got our hopes up, and then
and then they let us down.
came crashing down. Did you see the stat that just came out? Chicago was the first team
Yeah.
this year to win without scoring a touchdown.
That's the first time Chicago's won since 1993 without scoring a touchdown.
The Vikings are always on the bad end.
We
of stats.
always are on
Good
those
Lord.
stats.
Not even just the Vikings, Minnesota teams in general. Good
Welcome to
Lord.
Minnesota. Hey, good news. We got a new hockey coach, though.
Well, yeah, great. He's mediocre at best.
Yeah. We
Well, let's not judge a book by its cover.
we fired our hockey coach, and then we hired another coach who just got fired like this year, who got fired then last year, who got fired I think the year before.
That's, like they say, it's good to know people.
Good to know people. That's why I know you, Nick.
Yes, sure.
Hey, you knew the nose guy last night. That was pretty cool. You were a pretty cool guy.
Oh, yeah, he's a good dude.
You looked more important than anybody around us, just for the record.
That wasn't what it was about.
The news crew walked up and talked to you.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
And I was like, yeah, I know him.
He actually,
his boss.
I actually texted him and he turned around at one point and then looked away.
Yeah.
And kind of like laughed. And I'm like, oh, okay, give me the Heisman. That's cool. And he's like, no, I just gave you the Hollywood turnaround to make sure your buddies knew that you didn't actually know me. And then he came over and started talking.
That's funny.
It was good.
That's pretty good. No, it was a pretty good time, though. Game was fun.
It was fun. Regardless of the outcome, it's
Yeah.
always fun.
We always have a
with
good time,
people.
yeah. Like I said, watching you scream at the team was actually a highlight for me.
It was fun. And I'm just thankful that Justin Fields wasn't running down the field free. And I had to go stop him from beating my fantasy team.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was the best. He was playing against a guy last night who had Justin Fields on his bench or on his team playing against Nick, and Nick has lost the last 3 weeks in a row by the final play of the game in the NFL. And we were all joking with him that it was going to happen again because Fields was going to come running down the sideline and dive in, and it was pretty comical because Nick had determined that he was going to jump the railing and tackle Fields if this played out.
And the security guards were poorly planned out. 'Cause
Very
they were
poorly.
At least 10 yards apart. And they were both looking at the field. Like, they wouldn't have known I was there until I hit Fields in the knees.
Oh yeah, he'd tell you it broke your neck running into Fields as he scored a touchdown.
But if he didn't score a touchdown and I won the game, that's all that would have mattered.
I wish you would have done it because you know what? I can just see it happening. They're running down the sideline. You go running. You hit Fields. You get injured.
you
Fields
imagine?
runs you over and still scores the touchdown, and you still lose.
I'm the one getting loaded in the ambulance and he's scoring a touchdown.
That'd be great. That would make my day. What are we talking about today, Nick?
What did you say? Something about being precision.
Yeah, no, we
Precision.
talked about PRI a little bit today.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to PRI. And then,
Forgot my cheat sheet.
forgot my cheat sheet. You forgot your notes? You need your notes, buddy.
Sorry.
And we're going to talk a little bit about why precision is so important when it comes to your work, CNC, everything you do.
Josh Jobs needed some more precision last night.
Back to the Vikings. This is true. He was really precise. He threw the ball right to the other team a bunch of times.
Yeah, well, that was great.
4 times.
But one thing I have learned over the course of the last few years of my life is sports are just entertainment. I used to get really riled up about sports and let it ruin my day. Like today I would be really crabby all day.
Yeah.
Just because I'd get so into it. But
Yep.
now it's just like, you know what?
It's like a movie.
It's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's fantasy football. There's bigger things in life to worry about and be annoyed about.
I agree. I think as we get older, you just start to learn to cope with things a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of translates into your business and your work and the way you do things. It's like you let small things wreck your day, right? And it's like sometimes you just need to take a look at the big things in your business and things you're doing right, and and really understand there's so much good going on around you that you can't let one insignificant situation or really inconvenience in most cases. A lot of times it's just an inconvenience that turns people's days upside down. And it's like, if you can think about what just happened to you, if it affects you in 3 years, maybe it's worth, getting a little irritated over it. But more than likely, most situations in life, they affect you for that day. Maybe not even the day.
Yeah, I was going to say not even maybe that.
Maybe an hour, right? And then by then you're moved on to something else and it doesn't matter anymore. But yet people spend so much of their time getting worked up over things that otherwise could really not affect their day at all if they just brush it off.
Yeah, and we just focus on the overwhelming amount of good that happens and not just the tiny amount of bad that.
I agree. I mean, it's just completely off topic. I mean, it really doesn't have to do with our topic today, but it made me think that way because it is a good thing to remember in your business. Don't let insignificant situations, and, don't let sometimes it's just simply some comments that, you hear in passing affect your day, right? I mean, it's one of those things where sometimes people are just the way they are sometimes. And, you don't have to take it to heart every time.
Well, and you don't have to let that type of attitude or those things drag you into that type of mood or feeling.
Yeah.
Like
some things are out of your control.
Absolutely.
Like as an example, we had a trucking company not show up. Like I can't make them show up, right? Like it's out of my control. So what do? I have to either reschedule it or wait for the truck. Like I don't have a choice. Like it's one of two outcomes. Like I can't make that truck show up. Yeah, they're late.
Yep. And being annoyed about it isn't going to fix the situation.
Yeah,
being upset about it but at the same time, if you just sit there and be annoyed about it, is that going to make the guy want to show up, or is that going to make him show up faster?
It doesn't change it. I mean, how do you know you didn't get a flat tire, right?
Right.
Like sometimes it's just inconvenience that you can't overcome. So I'm irritated because we're going to PRI, and that's the truck we're waiting on. Is it has to bring our stuff to PRI, and that's so for those who don't know, is PRI is Performance Race Industries, and it's in Indianapolis, Indiana, this next week. It's actually going to be. What is it, the 5th through the 7th through the 9th? That's what it is. It's the Thursday through Saturday next week. But it's like the largest racing show in the United States, I believe, if I'm not mistaken on that. And if I'm not mistaken, I also believe the show is owned by SEMA, the same company that runs the SEMA show, runs Performance Race Industries. But nevertheless, I mean, we're going there. We're pretty excited. We're debuting, some of our equipment there. Obviously, we're showing off the ShopMaster Plasma. But we also have a joint booth with our sister company now with Langmuir Systems. And they're going to show off some cool stuff. They got their MR1 mill there. They got their flat welding table. They have a new cool product they're going to be debuting there. And they got their XR Plasma. So I'm pretty pumped to, it'll be the first time ever that those products are actually at a trade show.
It's going to be pretty awesome for people to see, like, just the cool products that both companies have to offer.
Yeah.
And I've seen some pictures of, the stuff that they have or that they're going to be bringing. It's going to be awesome to see.
I'm just excited to put it in front of people because historically you can shop for their stuff online, but they don't have, it's a much cheaper product. It's meant to get it into your everyday home shops and home garages and, if you will, prosumer, kind of hobbyist, needs. And, a lot of that stuff you just shop online, watch some videos, right? But like this is the first time you can actually physically go see the product, and I think it surprises a lot of people when you see the quality that goes into their product for what it is. It's a great place to start in CNC automation. I mean, they give you a lot of tools and a lot of capabilities that otherwise you're just not gonna get. Right.
Well, I think that was you touching on that was something we talked about before is actually seeing the machines in person.
Yeah.
And seeing the quality that goes into them and not just, seeing pictures here and there. You can actually see it, look at it, touch it, and see that the quality is there compared to some other things that you see.
Correct. And I think that's the thing that's the power of the internet nowadays in marketing, right? Is a lot of companies don't have to put the time and energy into the small attention to detail because the internet masks it.
Yep.
They can make sales based on that alone. And with us, like we understand that it's not just making the sale, but it's actually keeping you as a customer long term. So it's not just developing a product for resale, but it's developing a product that is going to last, right? It's not a throwaway product. It's something that you're going to keep. And our goal at ShopSabre has always been, once you buy one, that you come back for your next one, right? Or your next need versus we got you the first time and now you'll never talk to us again, right? I mean, we all know products like that out there, right? They get you that one time and you're like, well, you got me, but I'm not coming back and buying another thing from you.
Heck, we hear it all the time here, sitting at our desk. People calling in, hey, I got this machine, a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I have so much work to do now. I need another one.
Yep.
So it's
that's my favorite thing. I think is watching people's businesses grow and that. But like what excites me about the Langmuir product is it's watching businesses be formed. A lot of times with that, those level products, it's something you're doing at home for fun and they turn into something.
Yep.
And then the next step is a ShopSabre because holy crap, what I thought was going to be just for fun turned into a demand that I need a faster machine. I need a bigger machine, you know? So that's what excites me the most about it. And like being able to put the two products together at PRI, you know, being able to have them kind of be near each other, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Well, and I feel like you can kind of tell that story to people too, right? You can be like, hey, we have a lot of people that start at this point or start with one of our smaller machines and then they end up getting into this big Shopmaster that you see, you know, 5 years from now, you'll be getting another newer version of it.
Yeah.
Going forward.
And, you know, Tay Whiteside, if you know who Tay is, Lift Arc Studios, he's going to join us.
Awesome.
He's coming down to PRI. So if you guys follow us here and you follow Lift Arc Studios on YouTube at all, he's an influencer. He does a lot of cool stuff there. But he also runs his own shop, Lift Arc Studios. It's a real business. And he's a ShopSabre user. He's used ShopSabres for years. He actually just got his second one. And prior to that, or following that, he also has added a Langmuir Systems weld table system at his shop. So he's a user of both products. And he openly said, he's like, I'm a believer. He's like, it's not like I don't believe in what you guys do. I've come back to you. He's like, I'd love to come to the show and be part of the booth and talk to people as a real consumer. Yeah. Because let's be honest, when you go into a booth, you kind of expect the sales guy to tell you something, right? Mm-hmm. But when it's a customer telling it to you because he wants to be there, you know, it's one of those things where he's coming to really talk about the product and how it's changed his business. It's like, it's kind of cool to have that there. You know, I'm excited to see all the, you're getting over that cold, aren't you?
Yeah. Might have to take the rest of the week off.
I don't think so. No, as we were saying, though, before Nick coughed into the mic, that was nice of him. He didn't cough into the mic.
It does speak volumes, though, when you have guys like him that take time away from their business, that want to take the time and effort to speak to the quality and the use that they get out of their machine to potential customers.
You know, what's cool is he understands the industry. You know, it's one thing to understand a machine, but to understand what you do with the machine, right? It's how many sales guys have you talked to about products in your life where they can tell you everything about the product, they couldn't tell you how to use the thing correctly?
A lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's talk about the camera industry for a second, okay?
Sure.
You know quite a bit about cameras. You do a lot in that. But there's different lenses for different needs, right?
100%, yep.
How many times have you bought a lens knowing more about the lens than the person selling you the lens?
Probably every time.
Yeah?
To be honest, yeah. I mean, a lot of the people that work in those stores know everything they need to know about the camera itself.
Yep.
To like sell it to you, right?
Yep.
But when it comes to the accessories, lenses, I mean, not saying that none of them know anything about it, but there's definitely a lot of them that don't know beyond the basics of selling you the camera.
And that's where I think this industry, sets us, where we set ourselves apart. Is the same thing with ShopSabre. Like, we know a lot about the machines and the equipment, but we can also help you pick the right accessories for your machine, right? And which accessory is right. And there's so many sales guys you talk to out there that they really don't know that stuff. They're just trying to sell you what they've sold the last 10 people and had success with, And
I think too, like, our guys ain't afraid to tell you that you don't need something.
Correct.
Like, so many times you just hear, oh, you need this, this, and this.
Everybody wants to spend your money.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But we hear, I feel like you honestly hear our guys say just as much as you need something that you don't need something.
Correct.
Like, they're not trying to just sell them something to sell it.
I used to say when I was in sales, I used to do sales obviously here exclusively. And when I used to do sales, a phrase I used to use a lot, and customers listening to this may remember me saying it to them actually, but I used to tell people all the time, like, I'm not here to sell you things you don't need. My job isn't to just spend your money. Right. And I tell people all the time, something I used to say a lot was, I may be the worst sales guy you've ever met because I'm going to tell you not to spend money because I am that way. Like I believe that, a lot of people would consider me a bad sales guy because there's more times probably in my career I've told somebody not to buy something than I have told them to buy something.
I feel like it's not very often where a sales guy is putting the customer's needs or what the customer wants ahead of just selling something.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
But why would you want to, if you think about the big picture, why would you want to sell something to someone that they don't need just to have them come back and be like, hey, you sold me something that cost $20,000 that just is collecting dust on my machine or collecting dust here. Why did you do this? Like, how do you answer that without just saying, well, I was trying to just sell you the most expensive thing I could so I could make the most amount of money. But there's no point to that. There's
a lot of commission-driven sales guys out there to begin with. Sure. And that's something I think that sets us apart. But yeah, as you start to look at as you make, changes in your business, you think about that, it's something to think about. Like at these shows, PRI is a perfect example. Like we're going to have Tay there who can talk as a consumer. Like I bought these options because I needed them and why they worked for me.
Yep.
Like he's a real customer that can speak on that. And that's what I think I'm most excited about with PRI is you get people in front of real people. And it's not just a sales guy, but it's actually see the product, see the quality. It takes away, for one, it takes away all the gimmicky stuff that the competitors can say about you, right?
Yep.
Because it's hard to tell you that your machine's built the same way as mine when you can stand in front of both machines, right? Like it's a pretty good indicator that they're not built the same, you know? So that's one thing I love about it. And then the other thing is it's just interacting with people, you know, getting to know new people, getting to talk to past customers. It's a good time, like I said. And I've never been to PRI, believe it or not.
Well, and I think, too, people can just see that you're actually, like, a real person just kind of going through life, right? Like, a sales guy just sitting on the other side of a phone is one thing, but to actually, like, sit down and interact with somebody face-to-face, I think still holds a lot more meaning than just talking to somebody over the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I mean,
to some people, I guess.
Some people, as I say, some people, let's be honest, I mean, you're busy enough, you just don't have the time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, some people still enjoy that. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not that guy. I don't go to stores for anything. We talked about this last night.
Yeah.
I go to stores for nothing. Like, I don't want to go into the store. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want people. I know what I want. I'll do my research, and then I'll buy what I want online.
Yep. 100%.
That's just, I mean, that's the way
I'm the same way.
yeah, it's, I don't know. For me, PRI is an exciting time because it's just, I like going and seeing the industry and doing things, but also I'm big into racing. So being at a racing show for the first time, I'm pretty excited about that.
And I'm pretty sure your wife already took your credit cards away, right?
Not yet.
Got that secret one that she doesn't know about?
No, she knows about it all. She controls it all. But I'm supposed to be at Christmas. We have her family's Christmas that Saturday. But then I'm at the show. Don't know how I'm going to handle this yet.
Well,
sounds like I'm missing Christmas to be at a race car show. That'll go well.
Well,
I'm working, hon. I'm sorry. What do you want from me?
Got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, can't just leave everybody else behind and dip out on the show.
I mean, I could.
Or can you?
They've been trying to tell me to. Yeah. Don't tell her.
That's not how you are, though.
Yeah, you know me though.
Yeah.
I can't just leave people hanging.
Right.
Yeah, but so PRI, come see us next week. It's gonna be fun. We'll be at the PRI show. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about precision. Why we're on that topic. Let's talk about, again, we've talked about different levels of machines, right, and things to think about in your business, and why precision is so important. It's something that I wanted to touch on today before this episode got too long. But let's talk about the precision aspect of your business, right? Being precise with your movements, being precise with your spending, being precise with the way you advertise. Precision in your business means more than just accuracy in your cut, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a big part of it, right? When you buy equipment, you want precise equipment and want precision there. But some of it's just being, precise with your movements. It's having a sense of direction at all times. Does that make sense?
For sure. I mean, obviously, you don't want to go into your day of work not knowing what the end goal is, right?
That's how I feel about it. If you come to work every day and we'll figure it out when we get there.
Right.
I feel like your day'd be kind of chaotic.
You have no idea what's going on.
You have no plan, as an example, we record podcasts. We kind of have a schedule. We know when we're going to go in and what we're going to do. It doesn't always happen at the same time, but we have a day that we do it on. We have a schedule.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine just randomly, willy-nilly, okay, let's go do one.
No, I feel like most days I come in and do kind of the same thing in most orders, not to make it about me, but
yeah, no, do make it about you.
I mean, it's I come in, I do my certain things right when I get here, go and sit down and do the next thing in line. I just go through the same thing over and over and over, right?
I'm very much a creature of habit as myself as well.
Go down to the dock at the same times every day. Just because you kind of get in the habit of knowing when trucks show up, when trucks don't show up, when they're going to be here by. I don't know. I'm just a huge creature of habit, and I do the same thing over and over every day. But you know what's going to happen, you know what's going to get done, and at the end of the day, you're going to be in the same spot, hopefully, as you planned to be when you came in.
That was a really good answer. I found myself I can move through my day almost without looking at a clock and know what time it is. Just by what I'm working on.
Most days, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I know, when I start doing this, okay, it's right around lunchtime.
Yep.
Oh, when I start doing this, it's right around midday. I don't know.
I will say, staying out so late last night at the football game and coming in 45 minutes later than normal today kind of threw me off. The worst part was, though, I set my alarm for 6:30, and Natalie knows that I'm always up by 5:30.
Yeah.
So she got up at 5:45 to start cooking breakfast, and she starts coming and shaking me. You're not up for work. You're not up for work. Get up. And I'm like, My alarm's set for 6:30. Just let me sleep.
You're like, I'm still mourning the loss last night of our Vikings football game.
But it was just weird getting here at like 7:30 and being like, oh my gosh, 45 minutes to make up from when I'm typically on the schedule, right? So it's just weird to be on that tight of a schedule that you can just tell that you're behind.
Yeah, I laugh because I didn't set an alarm at all for the Thanksgiving weekend. Which, by the way, hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. We didn't touch on that.
It was really good.
I'm glad to hear that. But I didn't set an alarm.
Right.
Obviously wasn't coming into the office. I had hockey stuff. Dude, I was up at the same time every day. Every day I was up.
It never fails.
Like I didn't have to set an alarm. Like I could wake up every day at the same time within 15 minutes.
Yep.
Like it's just how my body is at this point. Like you said, it's weird to not being on that creature of habit, being on that routine. And I'm so strict on the way I do things. Like I'm here every day. Like I work the full day. I don't leave early. Like it's hard for me to give up that. And so when I do things outside of normal, it feels weird.
There's a lot of people, I mean, Natalie included, that thinks it's so weird that I'm like that because she's just kind of whatever, wings it all.
Yep.
So that's a big difference with us. Like I'm totally.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if we're leaving at 1:30, we want to leave at 1:30, not 1:32. We got to get out of here. Be in the car at 1:27.
Yeah.
So we can get on the road on time.
My kids hate that about me because my son, again, hockey player, and we have a rule at the hockey team that you have to be at every game 45 minutes before the game. Yep. Like that's the minimum. You have to be there because we have to do player warm-ups, things like that. And we're there an hour before every time. And he always gives me a hard time. Dad, the rule is 45 minutes. I'm like, 45 minutes is late.
Right.
Like if they say be there at 45, you need to be 15 minutes early.
Yep.
And he's like, well, then they'd say be there at an hour. I'm like, no, then you'd be there at an hour and 15 minutes. Like I'm trying to instill that in him. Like whatever they say, be early. Like be ahead of that time. And so we were riding, it was funny. We were with some of the other coaches, me and a few of the other dads rode together to one of the games last week. And so the boys were all in the back and they were talking about, the boys were giving us a hard time about being there. And one of the other dads was like, yeah, boys, that's the benefit of being the coach's kids. You're always going to be early. Because as a coach, it's a bad example if you show up late. So,
well, yeah, if you're going to tell them to be early and then you show up
correct
after them, what does that
exactly?
Look like?
So it's for me, I try to really set an example, be there first, be there, set the example so that way nobody can say well, I was just doing what you did.
Yep.
No, I'm there first. I do it. So in your business, I think you have to think about that. As you look at your business and moving with precision, what is your next move? You should be thinking about that next move. What does 2024 look like for you? That's what I want people to think about right now is what in your day could you be doing differently next year? What would make things easier? What could make you more profitable? What could increase the overall efficiency of the office? Maybe it doesn't affect you directly. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's an indirect change that you can make that will affect the people around you. Maybe it doesn't make your job any easier at all, but it makes everybody around you that much easier,
Correct.
You have to think about some of that stuff.
There's always room for improvement, right?
Yeah.
If you get to the point where you think that you're as good as you can get, you're not going to succeed any further because you're just
100%.
You always have to be looking to improve because things can always be better.
Yeah. Now let's talk about equipment for a second, okay? We've talked about the business. We've talked about some of the other stuff. Now, how does precision in your equipment really help you? When you think about a business, Nick, what world do you think precision really affects a company's outcome?
I mean, obviously, if you're creating parts for somebody or creating something on your machine that you need to make multiples of for this, the same type of thing, like race car parts, right? I mean, if you're making parts that you're going to be putting in 10 different race cars with the same engine, you're going to want those pieces to be exactly the same, right? Because if you start building engines with pieces that are a little bit off or not quite as precise as the others, it's not going to work the same, right?
Well, I think that's funny that you say that because that's exactly it. When you look at certain applications, people wouldn't accept anything but precision. And then there's other areas where you could care less.
Yep.
Right? I mean, but I think in your business, when you look at equipment, it's so important to find a piece of equipment that has precision factored into it because I've always said to people, especially let's go back to race cars for a second. If I build a race car on a jig versus hand building a race car, right? Do I end up with the same product at the end?
Definitely not.
See, I say the same thing. I say definitely not.
No.
But a lot of guys will say, oh, absolutely. They're both going to be race cars. They're both going to be fast. They're both going to win. You're right. Both of them are going to be race cars. Both of them probably could be fast, and both of them could probably go win plenty of races. The difference is when I spin out and destroy my car and bounce it off the wall, and then you smash into me and you bounce off the wall, I can get my car back to the exact same place it was when I started.
Correct.
Where you cannot. Because I have a jig. Yep. I can put it on that jig. I can see how bent it is, how messed up it is, where things are wrong, and fix it. You have to go off of measurements and memory. And like, okay, I'm going to measure this. Oh, was that right? Was this... Like, the jig doesn't lie.
Way too many variables to it.
Correct.
Way too many.
The jig doesn't lie. And so that's where I go back to equipment, okay? Looking at CNC equipment. Think about your CNC machine. If it's not built in that same environment, a controlled environment, precise environment... How can you assure the machine that you are receiving is the same as the one that was on the internet the guy said was a good machine?
You definitely can't.
You can't. He may have gotten one that had more precision built into it because the guy that day took more time or happened to get a better piece of steel. There's variable there. With precision, you don't want variable. Variables are bad.
And think about how many people we have that buy multiple machines at the same time of the same. I mean, the same exact machine they buy two of. Are you going to get the same precision in your machine from a lower quality company or a different an imported machine for that matter? I mean, you're not going to get two that are identical, are you? Probably unlikely.
I would agree 100% with that. Like, I think there's a lot of companies. There's a lot of companies when you look at them, they do a lot of things good, but nothing great.
Yep.
If that makes sense, right? They build a good product. They give good support. Like, I'm not going for good.
No.
I'm going for great. Like, I want great support, great products, great performance. And you do that through precision. The way I do things isn't without thought, right? Yep. When we develop a plan, right? We develop a product, as an example. We engineer it. We don't just start slamming stuff together until it works.
Correct.
We engineer it. Then we go through and we prototype it. Then we go through and build it. Like, before we've even built the first one, it's already been engineered and prototyped. When we have a 3D printer here that prints this stuff, like we verify, you've seen it. I have machines on my desk that are printed models, right? We verify that things look and feel the way they're supposed to before we've wasted time cutting steel and doing that. Like, it's a process.
Right.
And then we start building it. And when we build the first one, then once it's built the way we want, we build a jig. So that every machine after that, doesn't matter who the employee is, can build that machine.
The exact same way.
The exact same way. Like, it doesn't matter who's the guy cutting the steel, who's the guy doing, like, it's CNC programmed. All of our CNC machines have the programs that run the same. So for one, the program's the program. It's not, there's no deviation.
Right.
And then the welders, again, we have a lot of robotic welding and we have a lot of stuff there. We have jigs for the manual welding. And it's like, there's precise there. It's all repetitive. So as you get into that, and then you start looking at the way we build machines and milling machines and doing stuff for the frames that other companies just don't do. So again, no two pieces of steel are the same. So the more I can, create similarity in the steel by using mills and aerospace technology, I can give you a better product, right?
Right. I mean, imagine having all those pieces that are cut by hand, put together by hand, welded differently every single time.
Yeah.
Like you could line up 10 machines next to each other, they'd all have 10 different measurements or 10 different outcomes when you build them if you just build them by hand or just freehand it all.
Yeah. I think that's something that people think, miss about precision. And then you start going further than that, and it's like what components are being used, right? There's a major difference in high quality electronics versus low quality electronics.
Oh yeah.
And day one, they both look the same, right? Boy, and I only paid $100 for this one, and they wanted $1,000 for that. They didn't charge $1,000 just to charge $1,000.
It goes back to the old saying, right? You get what you pay for.
Yeah, like there's something long term. Like, yeah, maybe day one they look the same, but it's like a motor that's built for precision doesn't overheat under certain duty cycles and doesn't, give up accuracy over distance or doesn't give up accuracy over time, and it's like some products don't have that. It's the same thing I see where guys go out and they buy on these, they have a $10,000 spindle on their machine. And they go out and try to find the world's cheapest cones and collets they can buy. Like, they will. They'll go out of their way to I got these off Amazon, a 10-pack for $3. Like, what? Like, is it even balanced? You don't know. Like, you don't know what the balance rating is on those. You don't know what the inertia, is going to do to it. Like, you don't know any of that stuff. So, like, load ratings against everything, like, over time break down, right? The metal, you don't even know what it's made out of. Like, the issue is these knockoff parts that you can buy, in some cases, for throwaway things, for consumables, might work. But, like, for some of you, like, I'm not going to put a knockoff part in my $10,000 spindle because that part fails and the spindle ends up, receiving damage from it. Now I'm out 10 grand because I wanted to save $100.
Right, that makes no sense. Like you're willing to put the dollars into parts of it, but not the whole thing. Like you can't just go halfway.
That's what just blows me away. Like I watch that happen. And so it's like, as you look at your business, like precision really does matter in a lot of things you're doing. Like you got to be conscious of how you're spending your money and what goes into the machines and the equipment that you're using, the saw blades, the drill bits. There's so many ways in a business people try to cut corners to save a buck.
Yep.
But it costs them 10 times the money in the long run. They stop tracking it. They tracked it at the time of purchase. I saved $100. Okay, now track that for the next 2 years.
While you're cutting parts that aren't performing as well for your customers, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm going to go get this from somebody else," and now you lose that business because
you saved
tried
$100.
to skip on money.
Because you saved $100, you lost $1,000, right?
Yeah, you're coming out 10 times worse. Than
ShopSabre.com.
That's where you go if you don't want to save. If you don't want to save on cutting corners and things like that, you want the best product you can get, you go there.
Correct.
You go to ShopSabre's website, you'll see that we have a lot of different products. Like that's the difference in what we do. We build levels, right? You look at our products, we have a 23, an RC, a Pro, an IS, an ISM.
Yep.
Why do we have different levels of equipment?
Well, different levels of consumer.
Correct. And that's exactly what it comes down to is there's a different level of expectation.
For sure.
A guy doing stuff with an RC can do stuff that the Pro and IS does, right? He can do similar work, but you can't expect the same results head to head, right? It might be done slower. It might take more passes. It might not be as accurate in certain materials. Like there's certain things you have to think about, but there's a reason why one machine is half the price of the other one.
It's the same thing you have with you go to the car lot to buy a new car.
Correct. And that's
different levels for what people want. I mean, some people want everything souped up, everything, heated seats, heated steering wheel, all that stuff. Some people just want a car to get from point A to point B and don't need all that stuff. It's the same thing.
That's a good point because like when guys look at pickup trucks, that's how I've always compared ShopSabre machines to like pickup trucks, right? Because historically they've been about the same price. Nowadays we're cheaper because pickup trucks are stupid expensive. But the point being is like, yeah, you go buy an F-150 because you have an F-150 need. You go buy an F-350 because you have an F-350 need. You're not going to do stuff with an F-150 that you can do with an F-350 if your demand is an F-350, right?
You're going to be towing your race car, and I'm going to be going and picking up a truckload of lawn care stuff to put in my yard.
And that's actually a good point of that because I was going to say, like, if all you're buying a truck for is to go haul, mulch and carry some stuff, from the your house to the dump or haul a standard family boat, right?
Yep.
You could probably get by with 150, right? Everything's fine there.
Yep.
But yeah, you start hauling Bobcat trailers and you start handling skid steers and front end loaders and you got to haul a 15,000 pound race car trailer.
Right.
I guess you're not going to do that with a 150.
Right.
And it's the same thing with CNC machines. Like, yeah, can you cut, some general sheets and, I got to do 10 sheets a week. Okay. Something like an RC, things like that. No problem. But if you need to cut 100 sheets, 200 sheets, 300 sheets, whatever it is, now your demand starts to go up and it's like, okay, you could still try to run it through that machine, but eventually you're just using the wrong tool.
For sure.
And that can be said about any machine out there. As you look at precision, you move up the chain. So like if you don't want to save on, and I call it save, but save on quality is what it is. People cut corners. I don't need the quality. I don't need the precision, right? You hear that once in a while. I don't need that. Mm-hmm. It's not about what you need today. Again, going back to moving with precision, right? What are you doing tomorrow? What is the future going to expect as your growth happens? Like nobody buys something for, just today.
Right.
Like you don't. You always think about like the future. Where are we going? And so I've never met a company out there that says I'm going to buy a CNC machine because I hope to stop growing.
Yeah, right.
Like it just doesn't happen.
Like today it fits my needs to have a Pro model, but you know what? Within the next 12 to 18 months, I'm going to be at a level of needing an IS machine or an ISM. So let's just step it up a model and buy the IS this time instead of having to come back and revisit this and buy a bigger machine when I could have just done it right the first time.
Yeah, and that's the truth. Like there's so many things that you have to start thinking about, and it's more than just precision in the world of, well, I don't do precision parts. Do you cut cabinets? Do you cut signs? Do you do anything where you have to do the same thing twice? Because now precision matters.
Yep.
Because if you have two parts that aren't the same, now what?
You might be redoing it until you get it right.
Right. That's my point. Is like
then you're wasting time, money, everything.
It's time and money, and it's energy. It's just the amount of time that you waste trying to defend yourself, right?
And then you got to tell the next guy in line, oh, hey, I'm not going to have this to you until next week because I had to redo this other job 4 times to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. It's a hard thing to just jump into, and say I'm going to forget about all that stuff. Like, when you jump into CNC machines and you jump into technology, like you need to think about some of that stuff. Like it's hard to just jump into it without any understanding.
Right.
Because generally if you do something that way, like you're going to make a mistake. Right?
Yeah, it's probably not going to work out very well.
I've learned that in my life, that when I do the least amount of research, I usually have the most amount of regret.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Like, oh, this thing looks cool. I'm just going to buy this. And then
impulse
you get it and
purchases.
You're like, I don't know how to work this thing.
I bought I bought a sweatshirt on impulse 2 months ago.
Bought too small of a size?
I haven't gotten it yet.
Oh. How's that happen?
It says it's shipping this week. But my point being is I saw it was cool looking, right?
Yeah.
I didn't look up who the company was, any of that stuff. Like, I wish I would have never bought from them.
Sure.
Like, I can't even get them to respond to me, like, other than to send me a tracking number. Like, they sent me a tracking number finally yesterday. But I have asked 3 times, what do I have to do to cancel my order? Like, I just don't want to buy it anymore.
They don't reply to that email, do they?
No, they never replied to that one. But then it was, hey, good news, we got a tracking number for your part. Like, dude, I guarantee it's coming out overseas, and I wish I would have done, the problem was the company's name is after something that makes you believe it's American made.
For sure.
And I didn't do my research. Like, everything on their site was American flags and this and that.
Yep.
And I really thought I was supporting an American company. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm fairly confident I did not support an American company, and I'm really irritated about it.
It happens to all of us sometimes.
Oh, I hate it, dude. Like, I take a lot of pride in supporting American made.
I totally get it. Totally understand.
But
it's easy. I mean, it's easy to do, though. You see it and you're thinking, or they have the thing up there, the flashes. Only a few remaining. Dude, you better buy it now.
It wasn't even that. It was just a cool looking sweatshirt. And I'm like, I like that sweatshirt. And actually, I showed it to my kid, which doesn't make it any better. I showed Caden.
And now he wants one?
And he's like, Dad, that's cool. So then I was like, my kid's going to think I'm cool. I'm going to buy this thing.
Is it a fishing sweatshirt?
It's not a fishing sweatshirt.
Sweet.
No, it's got an American flag on it, though.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's probably going to be not enough stars or something on it.
Be upside down.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to mess it up somehow. So angry now. That's the worst part. I'm waiting 2 months, and what if they get it wrong?
Remember what we talked about earlier, though. Don't let the little things bother you.
That's why I just don't care. I've just moved on. Dude, it's been 2 months at this point. I think I've let it go.
Yeah, and it was probably half the price of what it should have been. So if it doesn't fit or you need to get rid of it,
it wasn't. That's the problem. It was not a cheap sweatshirt.
Well, maybe they're really busy. And
dude, I've eaten a lot of Twinkies since I ordered that sweatshirt. What if I don't fit in it?
Maybe it's just coming from Texas and they're really busy and it'll be here at some point.
I don't believe that. Nope. I don't believe it.
You never know.
It doesn't feel that way.
Oh, you just got an updated tracking thing. Your sweatshirt has cleared customs.
Cleared customs. What does that mean? Yeah, no. My point out of all this rambling today was, be aware of, what you're doing in the future, how you're getting there. Have some precision in your thoughts, in your movements, in your equipment, stuff you buy. I mean,
have a plan.
Yeah, ShopSabre is really good about helping you look towards the future. And right now, at the end of the year, we got our part sale going on for customers. So if you're a customer of ours, thank you for your business. I can't say that enough. But we have a part sale going on right now for you. So if you don't have that option that you wish you would have bought, call us up. Most things are on sale right now. If you need dust collectors, you need edge banders, you need an air compressor, whatever you need, they're on sale right now. We have a bunch of sales running. And then, for people that don't have a CNC machine, or maybe you have another machine and you don't like it, or maybe you like the machine you got, but you're just looking for another option, give us a shout. We got some really good deals for the end of the year. Lead times are still fairly low. They've started to grow a little bit just because it's the end of the year and things are crazy around here. But we still have some really manageable lead times. Currently, if you order in the next week, I can probably still deliver before the end of the year. But
yeah, on a lot of them for sure.
It's getting tight. Yeah, we're getting close to running out of time there on that. But with the end of the year sale, you also have the tax savings. You got to remember the tax savings. We've harped on this now for several episodes, but I can't harp on it enough because every time we get off one of these episodes, I get a call from somebody that's like, "Oh yeah, the tax savings. Oh yeah," and it's like, "Where'd you hear about that?" "Oh, your guys' podcast." So it's if I don't say it, I feel like I'm leaving somebody out there. There's always somebody that may, so maybe you've listened to us for 4 weeks now in a row and you're like, God, stop talking about that. But honestly, today there might be somebody that hasn't listened to us yet. And I want to make sure they know we got some really good tax savings. We got some financing stuff. My job is to sell CNC equipment, obviously.
Absolutely.
That's what we do here. We build equipment. So I'm going to talk about what we do. And a little bit here at the end. And it is what it is, because as a company, I take a lot of pride in what we do. Being an American-made company means something to me. ShopSabre and the way we do things, and, the people that we support, obviously through employment and vendors and things like that. It all means something to me. So, as you start looking at the last month of the year, can't believe I'm saying that. We're going into December.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Next week. By the time we film our next episode, we will be in December. And actually, it will be 2 weeks, because next week I will be in PRI.
Oh, yeah.
I guess you're going to film one by yourself next week. Good job.
Maybe I'll grab one of the guys or grab somebody from downstairs and we can just shoot the breeze.
There you go. Yeah, they'll be back with one next week, but I won't be here. But my point being is, next time I join you guys, it'll be December. And that's crazy. Like that, we're going to be 3-4 weeks left in the year.
Yeah.
You better make some decisions for next year.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it'll be 2 weeks. I mean, we're a month away from 2024. That's just crazy to even think.
Isn't that nuts?
It's crazy to think that I've been working here a year almost. In about a week and a half, it'll be 1 year. It's crazy how time goes by so fast.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, when you think about that, like when you put it into perspective that way, like think about where you make decisions today that could affect your year, right?
Yep.
You made a decision a year ago.
Yeah.
Right? And it's changed your entire year. Like I made a decision a year ago. It's changed the way we've done business. Like I'll say, Nick, you were a great hire. Like love it. But don't be afraid of those changes as a business. Like people listening, I hope that's one thing you take away from this is don't be afraid to make the next move, to add that CNC machine, to do that, because by this time next year, you're going to be looking back going, man, I'm glad I did.
For sure.
That's the difference is like, if I would have sat there and like dwelled over situations and like, oh man, do I hire somebody? Do I not hire somebody? We wouldn't be as good of a company as we are today. And I think, I made a good decision in that. And I just ask, you as a business owner, you as an employee sitting there, like, what can you do for your company that will help you guys next year?
And you're going to put your company that much farther ahead of all the guys that are waiting to make the same decision that you're questioning.
And that's the truth right there, is that people that wait, they all wait together.
Yep.
Right? People who take opportunity tend to grow and push past the people waiting, right?
Yeah. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. You got to make decisions sometimes in your business that are a little uncomfortable.
But like we've said before, most of those uncomfortable situations turn out for better in the end.
Yeah. I always tell my hockey team when they're uncomfortable, I said, my job is to make you comfortable in uncomfortable positions. And so guys are like, I'm really good at defense. I want to play defense. I don't want to play forward. And I make them play forward. But I'm not comfortable up there. Good. You're going to become comfortable up there.
Figure it out.
Because once you're comfortable in an uncomfortable position, you're better everywhere else.
Absolutely.
So it's like you got to continue to grow. You got to make yourself better. So
yep, for sure.
That's all I got today.
Same. I'm almost out of water.
You're out of water and your voice is going away.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm Brandon.
I'm Nick.
Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.